Hey everyone, welcome back to English at Work. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Alex. If you listened to our first episode about toxic colleagues, you know we don't shy away from the messy, uncomfortable workplace situations that everyone experiences but nobody talks about.
And today we're diving into something that makes my blood boil just thinking about it.
Credit stealers. Those colleagues who take your ideas, your work, your contributions, and present them as their own.
It's one of the most frustrating things that can happen at work. You put in the effort, you have the brilliant idea, and then someone else gets the recognition, the promotion, the praise.
And the worst part? It often happens so smoothly that you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late.
So today's story is about Sarah. She's a software developer at a mid-sized tech company. Been there about 2 years. Really talented, but relatively quiet in meetings.
And then there's Mark. Mark is on her team. Same level, same title. But Mark has a very different personality. He's charismatic, confident, loud.
And Mark has discovered that if he takes Sarah's ideas and presents them as his own, people believe him because he says it with so much confidence.
This has been going on for about 6 months, and Sarah is starting to realize what's happening. Let's jump into the story.
So it's a regular Tuesday morning. Sarah is working on a really tricky bug in the codebase. She's been thinking about this problem for days.
And then, around 10 a.m., she has a breakthrough. She figures out an elegant solution that could actually improve the entire system architecture, not just fix the bug.
She's excited, so she does what a lot of us do. She messages her teammate Mark on Slack. Hey Mark, I just figured out a solution to that database issue we've been having. What if we restructure the caching layer to...
And she explains her whole idea. Detailed, technical, brilliant.
Mark responds, interesting. Let me think about it.
That's it. Just let me think about it.
Sarah doesn't think much of it. She goes back to coding, starts implementing her solution.
Fast forward 3 hours. There's a team meeting. Sarah joins the video call and the team lead asks, so, any updates on the database performance issues?
And before Sarah can say anything, Mark jumps in. Actually, I've been working on this, and I think I've found a solution. If we restructure the caching layer...
And Sarah's mouth literally drops open. He's explaining her idea, word for word, the exact solution she sent him on Slack 3 hours ago.
And everyone is nodding, saying, wow, Mark, that's brilliant. Great thinking, Mark.
Sarah is frozen. She doesn't know what to do. Should she interrupt and say, actually, that was my idea? That feels awkward and confrontational.
So she says nothing. The meeting ends, Mark gets all the credit, and Sarah feels sick to her stomach.
Okay, let's pause here. Because this is the critical moment where credit stealing either continues or stops.
Right. So first question, why didn't Sarah speak up right then and there?
There are a few reasons. First, the shock. When someone steals your credit so blatantly, you're genuinely stunned. Your brain can't process it fast enough.
Second, social conditioning, especially for women and people from certain cultures, we're taught not to be confrontational, not to make a scene, not to seem like we're bragging.
Third, fear of looking petty. If you interrupt and say, that was my idea, some people might think you're just jealous or competitive.
And fourth, and this is important, credit stealers are often very skilled at making you doubt yourself. You start thinking, maybe I didn't explain it well enough, or maybe he thought of it independently.
But here's the thing. Sarah has proof. That Slack message exists. It's time-stamped. It shows exactly when she shared the idea with Mark.
So what should she do now? Let's get back to the story. After the meeting, Sarah is furious, but she doesn't confront Mark yet. First, she does something smart.
She takes a screenshot of the entire Slack conversation, timestamp and all. She saves it to a folder on her computer called Work Documentation.
Then she goes back through her Slack history with Mark from the past 6 months, and she starts noticing a pattern.
Every time she shares an idea with him, a few days later he presents it in a meeting as his own. This has happened at least 5 times.
5 times, and she never noticed because it was so gradual.
She screenshots all of those conversations too. Now she has evidence.
But she's still not sure what to do with it. Should she confront Mark privately, go to her manager, call him out publicly next time?
So she decides to test something first. She wants to see if this is deliberate or if Mark is just, oblivious.
The next week, there's another team meeting. Sarah has been working on a new feature. This time, she doesn't tell Mark anything beforehand.
In the meeting, when the team lead asks for updates, Sarah speaks up first, quickly, confidently. I've been working on the new authentication system. Here's what I built.
And she presents her work. Mark can't steal it because he doesn't know about it yet.
After the meeting, Mark sends her a Slack message. Hey, why didn't you tell me about the authentication thing? I thought we were collaborating on that.
Interesting word choice, collaborating. They were never collaborating. He was just taking her ideas.
Sarah replies, I wanted to make sure it was fully developed before sharing, but happy to discuss now if you have thoughts.
Professional, polite, but she's setting a boundary. She's not giving him advance access to her ideas anymore. So a week later, it happens again. Sarah makes the mistake of mentioning an idea to Mark in passing, just a casual conversation in the break room.
I'm thinking about refactoring the API endpoints to improve response time.
The next day, in the stand-up meeting, Mark says,
I'm planning to refactor the API endpoints to improve response time. Should have it done by end of week.
Okay, now Sarah is done. This is too blatant. She decides to address it directly. After the meeting, she messages Mark, Hey, can we grab a coffee? Want to chat about something?
They sit down, and Sarah's nervous, but she's prepared. She says, Mark, I need to talk to you about something that's been bothering me. I've noticed that when I share ideas with you, they sometimes get presented in meetings as your ideas, like the caching solution last week, and now the API refactoring.
Notice how she said that. I've noticed, stating a fact, sometimes get presented as your ideas, not accusatory, just observational.
Mark immediately gets defensive. What? No, I think we just have similar thinking. Great minds think alike, right? Classic credit stealer response. Deny, deflect, compliment.
Sarah stays calm. I understand we might have similar ideas sometimes, but I specifically mentioned the caching solution to you in Slack 3 hours before you presented it. I still have the message.
Now Mark knows she has proof. Watch what he does. Oh, that? Yeah, we were both working on it. I just happened to bring it up in the meeting first. I didn't mean to take credit for your work.
I didn't mean to, another classic deflection, making it seem accidental.
Sarah says, I appreciate you saying that. Going forward, if we discuss ideas, I'd like to make sure we're both credited when those ideas are presented. Or I'll present my own ideas directly in meetings.
She's giving him 2 options, either share credit or she'll speak first. Either way, she's not giving him free access to her ideas anymore.
Sarah says, sure, of course, no problem. But Sarah can tell he's not happy about this conversation.
And here's the thing, the conversation doesn't actually fix the problem, because credit stealers don't usually change from one conversation.
2 weeks later, Mark does it again. But this time, Sarah is ready.
In the team meeting, Mark starts presenting his idea for improving the deployment process. Sarah recognizes it immediately. She mentioned this exact approach to him yesterday.
But this time, she doesn't freeze, she doesn't stay silent.
She waits for Mark to finish his sentence and then she jumps in smoothly. Yes, Mark and I were actually discussing this yesterday. I'm glad you agree with the approach I suggested. To add to that...
Oh, that's good. She's reclaiming credit in real time, but doing it in a way that sounds collaborative.
Mark's face goes red, but he can't contradict her without looking bad.
Their team lead, who's been watching this dynamic, raises an eyebrow. Oh, so this was Sarah's suggestion originally.
Sarah says calmly, Yes, I've been working on this for the past week. Mark and I discussed it yesterday, and I'm happy to send over my documentation.
My documentation. Proof that she's been working on it.
After the meeting, Sarah sends the full documentation to the entire team with the timestamp showing when she created it.
Now everyone can see who actually did the work.
That evening, Sarah decides it's time to loop in her manager. She's tried to handle it directly with Mark, but it's not working.
She schedules a one-on-one with her manager, Lisa, and she comes prepared.
Lisa, I want to discuss a challenge I've been having with team collaboration. I've noticed a pattern where ideas I develop and share with Mark end up being presented as his ideas in meetings.
Notice she doesn't say, "Mark is stealing my ideas." She describes it as a challenge with team collaboration, more professional.
I have several examples documented. I wanted to bring this to your attention because it's affecting team dynamics and my ability to get recognition for my contributions.
And then she shows Lisa the screenshots, the Slack messages with timestamps, the meeting notes, the pattern over 6 months.
Lisa looks at the evidence and her expression changes. Sarah, thank you for bringing this to me. This is not okay. Have you talked to Mark about this?
Yes, I addressed it with him directly 2 weeks ago. He acknowledged it but said it was accidental. However, it happened again in yesterday's meeting.
Lisa nods. Okay, let me handle this. In the meantime, I want you to keep documenting, and please start presenting your ideas directly in meetings, rather than sharing them with Mark first.
And here's what's important. Lisa believes Sarah because Sarah has evidence. If Sarah had just complained without proof, it would be he said, she said.
The next week, something interesting happens. Lisa restructures how the team runs meetings.
Now, everyone has to submit their updates and ideas in writing before the meeting, in a shared document, with their name attached.
This creates a paper trail. Mark can't steal ideas anymore because everyone can see who wrote what and when.
Additionally, Lisa starts paying closer attention to who's actually doing the work versus who's just talking about it.
3 months later, performance review time comes around. Sarah gets a strong review and a raise. Mark? His review is mediocre.
Because once Lisa started looking closely, she realized Mark's actual output was much lower than his self-promotion suggested.
6 months after that, Mark leaves the company. Word got around that he wasn't trustworthy.
And Sarah? She gets promoted to senior developer. But more importantly, she learned to advocate for herself.
Okay, so what are the key lessons from Sarah's experience?
First, and this is crucial, document everything. Screenshots, emails, timestamps, meeting notes. Evidence is your best friend.
Second, don't keep sharing your ideas with someone who steals credit. Once you notice the pattern, change your behavior. Present your own ideas directly.
Third, address it directly first. Give the person a chance to change, but don't expect them to actually change.
Fourth, if the direct conversation doesn't work, escalate to your manager, but come with evidence, not just complaints.
Fifth, reclaim credit in real time when possible. Don't wait until after the meeting. Jump in and clarify. Yes, as I mentioned to you yesterday, or I'm glad you like the approach I suggested.
And sixth, protect your ideas strategically. You don't have to share everything with everyone. Sometimes it's smarter to keep your work close until you're ready to present it officially.
Now, let's talk about specific English phrases you can use when dealing with credit stealers.
When someone presents your idea as theirs in a meeting, you can say, "Yes, I'm glad my suggestion resonated with you. To build on that further..."
When you want to reclaim credit politely, actually, that's the approach I outlined in my email yesterday. I'm happy to walk everyone through the details.
When confronting someone directly, I've noticed that ideas I share with you sometimes get presented as your ideas. Can we talk about how to handle attribution going forward?
When setting boundaries, I prefer to present my own work directly in meetings, but I'm happy to collaborate and give you credit for your contributions.
When escalating to a manager, I'm experiencing a challenge with getting credit for my contributions. I have several documented examples I'd like to discuss with you.
And when you need to establish proof, let me send this to the team in writing so everyone has the context and can see the timeline of development.
All of these phrases are assertive without being aggressive. You're standing up for yourself while maintaining professionalism.
Here's the hard truth about credit stealers. They usually know exactly what they're doing.
Right. It's rarely accidental. They've learned that taking credit is easier than doing the actual work.
But they can only get away with it if you let them. Once you start documenting, speaking up, and making your contributions visible, their game falls apart.
And remember, you're not being selfish or difficult by wanting credit for your work. You deserve recognition for what you create.
Your ideas have value. Your work matters. Don't let anyone take that away from you.
All right, that's it for today's episode. Next week, we're talking about surviving a micromanaging boss, because apparently some managers need to control every single detail of your work.
If you're enjoying these episodes, please subscribe and share with your colleagues. We all need these conversations.
Thanks for listening to English at Work.
Protect your ideas out there.